All right, everybody, thank you for joining me for today's Burst of Innovation. It is Friday. So today we are going to tackle the topic of innovation over here and structure over here. So I think there's this myth in the business world that structure and innovation are mutually exclusive, or that structure hinders innovation. The reality is we all have constraints. We all have barriers. We all have guideposts that we have to deal with. What I've come to realize in my 25 years of work and research is that structure and innovation are actually not mutually exclusive. Structure can actually foster innovation. Structure actually allows room for innovation that we didn't even think about. Just on the grand scale for a moment, I want you to think about the businesses and the brands out there that have really disrupted, made an impact, brought something to market that was super innovative. And when you look at them, they used a constraint and turned it into an opportunity, or they found a way around the constraint that they wouldn't have done otherwise that led them to an innovative solution, an innovative idea. So I actually get pretty excited when someone comes to me and goes, here are all the brick walls that we have, yet we've got to find a solution, because I know that that's going to force us to think differently versus just trying to go over the brick wall, which is what we always do. We now have to go under it, around it, through it. We got to remove the brick wall. We got to come up with some new climbing tools, right? Structure truly does foster innovation. I want to show you one of my favorite videos in one of the most highly regulated, structured industries out there. So let me share my screen with you. And then I want to show you, I don't know if I'd call it an exercise, but an activity that you can do to actually think about innovation. I'm actually pulling this and adjusting it a little bit from my book launch party. And thank you all so much. Many of you who are on today were there. So thank you, thank you. It was fantastic. It was a phenomenal success. My publisher was very, very pleased. So thank you for making that happen. If you haven't gotten your copy, go to Amazon and get it. But I want to take something that we talked about there and actually show you kind of how to apply it and use obstacles, use structure to get to innovation. So let me share my screen and let me show you a video. Hopefully you can hear it and all this works. If you can't, please do let me know. Let me make sure the chat bar is up. Okay. This is a flight attendant.
Good evening, folks. Welcome aboard Southwest Airlines Flight 372, service to Oklahoma City. Those of you that have flown us before know that we do things a little bit differently here on Southwest. Some of us tell jokes, some of us sing, some of us just stand there and look beautiful. I, unfortunately, can do none of those. So here's the one thing that I do know how to do. We're going to shake things up a little bit. I need a little audience participation. Otherwise, this is not going to go over well at all. So here's what I need, especially you guys in the front, because you know what's coming. All right, I need a beat. All right. All I need you to do is stomp and clap, and I'm going to do the rest because I've had 5 flights today, and I just cannot do the regular boring announcement again. Otherwise, I'm going to put myself to sleep. So, you guys with me? All right. So give me a stomp, clap, stomp, clap. Come on, stomp, clap, stomp, clap. Stay on beat there. There you go. Keep that going. This is Flight 372 on SWA. The flight attendants on board serving you today. Teresa in the middle, David in the back. My name is David, and I'm here to tell you that shortly after takeoff, first things first, there's soft drinks and coffee to quench your thirst. But if you want another kind of drink, then just holler. Alcoholic beverages will be $4. If a Monster Energy drink is your plan, that'll be $3, and you get the whole can. We won't take your cash, you gotta pay with plastic. If you have a coupon, then that's fantastic. We know you're ready to get to new places. Open up the bins, put away your suitcases. Carry on items, go under the seat in front of you, so none of you have things by your feet. If you have a seat on the road with the exit, we're gonna talk to you, so you might as well expect it. You gotta help evacuate in case we need you. If you don't want to, then we're gonna reseat you. Before we leave, our advice is put away your electronic devices. Fasten your seatbelt, then put your trays up. Press the button to make the seat back raise up. Sit back, relax, have a good time. It's almost time to go, so I'm done with the rhyme. Thank you for the fact that I wasn't ignored. This is Southwest Airlines. Welcome aboard.
All right, let me go back to me and then I'll go back to it. I love this guy at the end.
Thank you very very much for my beat. I appreciate that. You will not get that on United Airlines, I guarantee you.
Sorry if anyone from United is on this. That's not why I show it. I show it because to me, that's a great example of leveraging structure to find the gaps, to find the places where you can innovate, right? Airlines is truly one of the most regulated industries, and rightfully so. He has to make that announcement. But let me ask you a question. Do you think that that group of passengers was more or less safe compared to when most of us fly and don't pay attention to the announcements? I don't know about you guys, but I haven't flown in a little while, but when I get back to it, I tend to be like, yeah. Like that's when I'm putting in my earbuds, putting on my music, like getting my seat adjusted. Like I don't listen to the announcements. Most of us don't. But the reason I share that is because in this case, David, the flight attendant from Southwest, which I always look for him when I fly Southwest, he found a way to innovate in the structure. He found a way to use the structure to build innovation. So my question for you, for all of us on here, is where can you find constraints and play with those, innovate against those to find the innovation? Remember, my definition, the definition here at LaunchStreet, the definition we dig into in the book is think differently about what's right in front of you to create a competitive advantage. Excuse me. So think differently about what's right in front of you to create a competitive advantage. That's real innovation. That's why structure fosters innovation. I'm going to show you one more screen that I want you to think about. And this is actually, I shared this in a different way on my book launch. So one of the things I was talking about is that like giving people guardrails helps you innovate versus just being free for all, but also giving people constraints helps you innovate. So let's say you were innovating against the paperclip. And by the way, you can insert whatever challenge you want here. And in fact, I would take a screenshot of this later because what you can do is think about turning this into an exercise. But but we have to innovate, but we can't change the color. Then what we do? Or, what if we innovate, but it needs to be easy to ship? So that's our barrier. Or it has to be eco packaging. Right? So those are constraints. Those are structure that we have to go in, or it has to cost a certain amount or can't cost over a certain amount. But if you looked at that now, given kind of the inspiration from David, don't you think you could find innovation in that? Like put that in the chat bar if you're here, right? Like think about how could you innovate on that paperclip knowing you can't change its color, it needs to be easy to ship, and it has to be eco-friendly packaging. Like here's one idea I just thought of, right? Is what if instead of packaging, all of the paper clips were chained together and it created a big circle that actually stayed on itself. So you don't even need packaging. I don't even know if that would work, but you see where I'm going with this, right? It's because of those constraints that I was able to come up with that innovation. Structure leads to innovation. I think the mistake we make, as I said in the beginning, is we think that structure and innovation are mutually exclusive. And in order to innovate, we need to have no structure. But actually, in order to innovate, we need to have some barriers, some guidelines, some restrictions. And the reality is we all have them. I mean, let's face it, none of us are working in a place where it's like a free-for-all every single day. That's not the reality of the world we live in. There are constraints. There's a box that we have to deal with. It's why I've talked about in other ones, instead of thinking outside the box, I want you to think about rearranging the box that you're in, right? Because that is about the constraints and seeing them differently. And oh, by the way, you may find once you start to innovate that, all right, I can't necessarily change the color, but I can change the opacity. Is that even a word? You know what I'm trying to say? Like maybe there are ways around this color issue because people actually want green. Now, I know the paperclip is a simple example, but I think between him and David, you see from Southwest, you see that all it takes is a little bit of a shift of thinking, and that those on the other side of that structure is constraints. David found it. The constraint, the structure was you have to give this announcement at the start of every flight. You have to. So what does David do? He makes it a little bit different so people remember. And if you watch that video again, if you find it on YouTube, I think if you type in Southwest David announcement, you'll find it. What I love about that video is you see people totally disengaged in the beginning, like, oh God, he's talking, to like clapping along and giving him the word sign at the end, right? So he leveraged the structure to create innovation, to create a customer experience, to build a connection with the group of passengers. Okay, we're almost at time. I hope that you thought you are starting to think a little bit differently about the structures. One of the things that I love to do is actually list out all the constraints and structures in my world and then figure out how to innovate against those. And I got to tell you, I kind of was hinting at this in the before kind of the 9 o'clock started. I got something brewing over here that's pretty freaking exciting. And I'm going to let you guys know as my inner circle first before everybody else. I'm just not quite ready yet. I need to put some finishing touches on it. But this idea that I'm about to tell you about in an email or another time came out of all the structure and all the constraints that I'm dealing with right now. Because some of us have new constraints and new structures that we didn't have before. All right, time is up. Go out there and innovate. If you want me to send you any links or like take screenshots of something, let me know and I'll make sure to go back and put those up and get you those links. All right, everyone, have a wonderful Friday. Get to it. I'll see you all Monday. Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad you're all here. It's Friday. It's still Innovation Day. Every day is Innovation Day. Oh, good, Sarah. I'm glad you got a lot out of that. Yeah, constraints can be wonderful. You just have to reposition them. That's all. Leads to great innovation. Actually, I'll just tell you really quickly. I just got an email from my school saying that for my kids' school, saying next year they're going to a combination of live and virtual. That I bet is going to be game changing for them in a positive way. And you better believe that would not have happened if it wasn't for the structure they have to deal with in education and the constraints that they're dealing with the coronavirus and the COVID situation that we're in. Those two things led them to move way faster and to innovate in a way they had not done in the past. So there's a lot of great examples out there of people innovating using structure and constraints. And I know you can too. Okay. Oh, you're welcome, Donna. Good. Good. Yes, Brian, you have a wonderful weekend too. All right. See you all Monday. The awkward word.